and how he plans to beat his competitors.
And scientists at Standford University are examining Steven Paddock's brain for clues about the tragic 1 October shooting. We have the latest on what they expect to find.
Don't go anywhere. Studio G starts right now.
Good afternoon and welcome to Studio G. I'm Kayleen Talents.
And I'm Jessica Vargas.
We have tragic news in from New York City. Almost exactly 1 month after the 1 October shooting here in Las Vegas, a motorist in Manhattan targeted pedestrians on the street with his car. Reports indicate the attack has killed 8 people and injured at least a dozen others. The incident is currently being treated as a terrorist attack. CNN reporter Kristen Holmes has more on the deadly assault.
This was an act of terror, and a particularly cowardly act of terror aimed at innocent civilians.
It was just after 3 p.m. Tuesday when Sayfullo Saipov, a 29-year-old Uzbek national, drove a rented truck into a crowd of bicyclists and pedestrians near the World Trade Center.
It happened out of nowhere. I was walking down the street, it was a normal day, and just out of nowhere I see people running and screaming.
Witnesses also report the suspect shouted Allahu Akbar, and a law enforcement official says there was a note in the truck claiming the attack was done in the name of ISIS.
He was associated with ISIS, and he was radicalized domestically, and he's a depraved coward.
Saipov was shot and captured by NYPD officer Ryan Nash.
After the collision, the driver of the truck, a 29-year-old male, exited the vehicle brandishing 2 handguns. A uniformed police officer assigned to the 1st Precinct confronted the subject and shot him in the abdomen. The subject was wounded and transported to a local hospital.
The focus now, the investigation into what happened and why.
That work's going to be done by the FBI, by the NYPD, and all of our partners to determine exactly who this man is, what moved him to this horrible act.
In Lower Manhattan, I'm Kristen Holmes.
Back here in Las Vegas, construction began on the Strip in October to install new metal barriers called bollards to help protect tourists from similar terrorist attacks in the future. They expect to be completed before New Year's Eve. Scientists at Standford University are dissecting the brain of the Las Vegas shooter Steven Paddock after an initial autopsy revealed no visible abnormalities to the brain tissue. The university is looking for any clues that may help officials understand the shooter's motive, but they say it's unlikely they will find any such evidence.
Friday morning, the G Nov marching band and Scarlet Dance Line Game came together for a special performance honoring the workers at UMC Hospital. The performance recognized the many employees who worked tirelessly for days to save victims during the 1 October shooting. The band and dancers performed in the circular driveway outside of UMC's main entrance. Las Vegas hosted their annual Pride Parade and had their very own festival to keep the party going. Studio G reporter Josel De Los Reyes has the opportunity to check it out.
The Pride Festival is back once again at Sunset Park to celebrate diversity and unity. It's an event where truly all are welcome. The 2-day event featured performances and vendors that celebrated the LGBTQ community. Jesus Nancy, or better known as Mr. Las Vegas Pride 2017, talks about what it means to hold that title.
Very proud of my community, the LGBT community. I represent, and more than anything, I'm educating people about the LGBT community, and I am a strong feedback for the community as well. I think it's bringing awareness to the community, because a lot of people might not think the LGBT community is protected or well known by a lot of people, and making these festivals happen, it just brings awareness to the community more than anything, and it's like I said, it's a good way to educate people in what's going around in the community, and that we are here, that we're not just like another certain group, but we're equal, we're humans, we're equal, and show pride more than anything.
Mr. Las Vegas Pride feels that the festival gives an opportunity for the community to be educated on what Pride represents.
You know, it's the 21st century. There's still a fight going on for the LGBT community to have equal rights as everybody else. I think that's one of the most important things that need to be bringing more awareness to the community here and all over the United States and all over the world. It's about the community coming together. It's very festive. It's a lot about celebration. Here at the festival, a lot of the organizations that people might not be aware of attend it, and so people learn actually here at the festival about all these different organizations, you know, so it's really fun. It's a lot of fun.
For Studio G, I'm Giselle De Los Reyes.
Be on the lookout for next year's Pride Festival at Sunset Park.
A local area hiker has reportedly survived a dangerous 40-foot fall at Red Rock National Park late Sunday morning. The fall was reported at 11:15 a.m. on the Calico 2 Tanks Trail. The hiker was transported by Mercy Air. After being assisted by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Search and Rescue Unit, officials say he is awake and talking, but no word yet on his current condition or where he is being treated. Coming up, scientists say insect populations are decreasing at alarming rates. We'll tell you what they believe is behind the rapid decline.
Plus, a heartbreaking disease claims the lives of nearly 5 million people every year. We'll take a look at how the community is raising awareness about Alzheimer's after the break. We'll be right back.
I really enjoy doing my show. I love all types of rock, and that's why I'm doing Rock Through the Decades. We play the 50s all the way to today's rock music or rock bands. I want them to get the appreciation of how much rock has changed over the years and how it's still really great. You can never kill rock. I mean, rock is like the way to be, the way to go. The name of my show is Rock Through the Decades, and I am Rockin' Gemini. You can listen to this on the Rebel HD2 network.
Our Metropolis is a 30-minute show that airs every Tuesday evening at 91.5. You're going to hear Dr. Gary Larson along with our regular contributors talking about what matters to our community. And not only what matters, but why does it matter? We look at our community as a whole, but we also pay special attention to what's happening here at UNLV because that's our home as well. So looking at our Metropolis through the lens of a radio show really gives us the unique perspective to tell a story through words and through people, and I think it makes for a great program.
Name is the Rebel and Revolt Show. Pretty good show about, you know, just someone who will actually talk about UNLV the way an outsider might feel. We talk about current events, we talk about politics, try to take an offensive swing with it. Sometimes it's hit or miss, but and then we talk about, you know, the little things in life that everybody laughs about. And we are the Rebels and we are revolting. My name is Jameson Wilk and I run the Rebel and Revolt Show, and you can tune in at therebelhd2.com.
Welcome back to Studio G.
Here are a few of today's top stories. Over the last 3 decades, the number of bees, wasps, and butterflies have dropped more than 75% in Germany, and scientists believe it may be a sign of a much larger problem. CNN reporter Atika Schubert has more on the plummeting insect population.
It doesn't look like much, a lone tent fluttering near a copse of trees, but this is a crucial part of a 25-year effort to track creatures that make up 2/3 of animal life on Earth. Insects. They are vanishing by the millions. Over the last 3 decades, the number of insects has dropped by more than 75% in nature reserves in Germany.
We sort of know that is happening, but in magnitude it's much stronger than we've realized in the past.
The Krefeld Entomological Society is at least a century old. They compile and sort every wasp, fly, bee, and countless flying others that get caught in its nets, providing priceless raw data for ecologists. They weigh the biomass, all the insects collected in a week from 42 nets stationed across Germany.
And some of the old have that.
Dr. Zorg shows us the large vat of insects collected in a summer week 20 years ago, compared to the thin sample collected today.
The main problem we see is the extinction of species in certain places.
Scientists say butterflies and bees have declined in Western Europe and North America. So why are insects vanishing? Well, the study says more research is needed to pinpoint the exact cause, but it's probably not climate change. Rising temperatures should create a thriving environment for insects, but numbers are still plummeting. The answer may be closer to home.
Now, these nets are stationed inside nature reserves, what's supposed to be a protected environment, but take a look at this. The nature reserve is often bordering right up against agricultural land, and that means insects are flying from protected areas into hostile environments.
Insecticides used in farms have already been detected, absorbed inside the trees of nature reserves.
There's increasing evidence that these low concentrations do affect the insects. Not because it's lethal, but because it really disrupts the life cycle.
Vanishing insects have already had a debilitating impact on birds. It's only a matter of time before it affects people, fears De Kroon.
Insects are very important. I think everybody realizes that. They're very important as food source, for example, for birds, but also for mammals and bats. They're very important as pollinators for our wild crops. I mean, there's substantial loss in crop yield and profit if these wild pollinators are vanishing. So that really is affecting us ourselves.
Now the team is racing to find the exact reason behind the vanishing of insects and the hope of stopping it before it's too late. Atika Schubert, CNN, Krefeld, Germany.
The highest paid dead celebrity of 2017 has been announced. The chosen celebrity is no other than Michael Jackson, who has earned his recognition for 5 years now. The Michael Jackson estate has reeled in $75 million this year, beating his competitors like Elvis Presley and Arnold Palmer.
Leonardo da Vinci's only known sculpture will soon be seen in Las Vegas for a one-day-only exhibit. The statue is called Horse and Rider and will be on display at Red Rock Resort on November 5th from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. The one-of-a-kind statue was created in 1508 and is valued at $35 million. This will be the first time the piece has been shown in the United States free to the public.
A musician and reality TV star Flavor Flav has announced he will soon be hosting a variety show here in Las Vegas called Flavor Flav's Vegas. The show will include comedy sketches, musical performances, and sit-down celebrity interviews. Flavor Flav, who has lived in Las Vegas for 12 years, says the show has been a goal of his for a long time. We saw warmer than average temperatures throughout October, but could winter weather finally be on the way?
Studio G reporter Michael Carmona has the latest look at your school week forecast. Michael?
Good afternoon, Rebels. I'm Michael Carmona, and today I'm here to bring you the weather. As you can see on my side, the weather for today in Vegas is that it's going to be 66 degrees, a little cloudy. The high is to be 79, the low is to be 56, and the weather is overall expected to be fair. And we can take a brief look into the valley itself. You can see that in the overall city itself, like 66 degrees, same in North Las Vegas, and Nellis, Henderson, and Green Valley, and Southern Highlands are all expected to be 70s. Boulder City 68, relatively, so overall like relatively a mid to high 60s, with the exception of Centennial and Summerlin, which are in the low 60s. And if we are to look at our national forecast, it's going to be relatively busy today with rain and storms expected in the eastern portion of the country. And in the northern portion of the country, there's expected to be snow and snowstorms, especially in Minnesota. And that takes us to our picture of the day. This picture is brought to us from the Weather Channel, and although this picture was of 5 days ago, the snowstorms covering the northeastern portion of the state, this weather is expected to continue on to today. And if we are to take a brief look into our 5-day forecast back in Vegas, it's expected to be mostly a downward trend from the high 70s to the low 70s. And over the course of a week, it's expected to go from sunny to a chance of showers on Sunday. And as for UNLV itself, it's 70 degrees, mostly sunny. Visibility is 10 miles an hour, 10 miles, a calm wind. And humidity is at 46%, which is notably higher than normal. And if you need to be here for tonight, then below is to be 59 degrees. Again, also a calm wind, clear, and the dew point is also much higher than normal at 46 degrees. And that's all we have for weather today. Let's bring it back to the news desk.
Thanks for the update, Michael.
Let's get back to our top stories for today. Remembering what you did yesterday seems like a simple task, but not for everyone. For those who suffer from Alzheimer's, it's a struggle every day. Studio G reporter Caitlin Knapp went to the Walk to End Alzheimer's to see how those impacted find hope.
This may look like your typical yard decoration, but here at the Walk to End Alzheimer's, this flower means so much more. Let's go, Walkers, let's go! Thousands from across the valley came together as a family of supporters, caregivers, those who lost a loved one, and those optimistic about the future.
I feel empowered in a whole different way that I have never felt empowered before.
Nancy Nelson carries the blue flower. It represents a person who is living with the disease. She was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's in 2013.
Period of time to say, hey, and then I said, grab those big girl panties, pull them up, and stand up and speak out for those who cannot speak for themselves.
As Nancy lives each day to the fullest, some go through their day remembering those no longer with them.
I lost my mom in March of this year, and this year she's in this flower. I've always carried the yellow flower, which is the caregiver flower, but this year I'm carrying the purple flower, and I'll keep working to find a cure in her name.
While each person walks for their own reason, a common theme connects them all.
I can say on the other side of the tunnel, which I walk in now, is that there's hope and confidence and perseverance.
The hope that one day there will be a cure and a survivor.
I can do this. I can do this.
For Studio G, I'm Caitlin Knapp.
That's for sure.
As of this afternoon, the Walk to End Alzheimer's has raised more than $218,000.
Coming up, we sit down with congressional candidate Reuben De Silva here at Studio G.
The candidate talked to us about his political campaign and how he plans to win over college voters. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
As far as Studio G, at first it looks overwhelming, and at first it looks like it's a lot of work, but I'll tell you what, it's the most beneficial class I've had at UNLV to date, without a doubt. You get to not only develop stories and work on your interviewing skills, your editing skills, and your shooting skills from a camera perspective, you get to work on all the equipment that's in the studio. So you're working on audio, you're working on directing, tech directing, you get to produce your own show. You can take a 30-minute newscast and make it your own, and that's really cool about Studio G. Like I said, a lot of it seems overwhelming at first, but it is by far the best class I've taken at UNLV since I've been here.
Your community's farmers market. Welcoming, lively, friendly. A place where neighbors and friends come together to celebrate their community. With over 50 vendors, organic, sustainable, fresh produce are available just for you. Support and buy local at Fresh 52.
You don't get to do an internship, you have to do an internship. It's one of the requirements for a journalism major. You have to do an internship before you can graduate.
Definitely having an internship as a requirement really helps push yourself out there and to just remind you that your graduation is coming up soon. You're going to have to need some work experience in your career. So it's really good to put yourself out there early on, and they tend to help students a lot more. So when you do a student internship, it really helps out a lot.
Welcome back to Studio G. I'm Brianna Haney, and today we're joined by Reuben De Silva, CCSD teacher, U.S. military veteran, and Democratic candidate for Nevada's Congressional District 1. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, Brianna.
Okay, so our first question for you is, just tell us a little bit about your background.
About my background, well, I am a Nevadan, but before that, I must say that I'm an immigrant. My family immigrated to the United States when I was a small child. We lived in New York City. And then when I was 6 years old, we moved to Las Vegas, and I've been here ever since. I went to C.P. Squires Elementary School, J.E. Manch Elementary School, St. Christopher's Catholic School for my middle school years and attended Rancho High School. And I am a proud Rebel, so go UNLV Rebels. I guess I'll start with the cheap applause line to get the interview going. But I did graduate from UNLV. I served in the United States Marine Corps, went to war. I served in the Iraq War. I was injured out there. Took a sniper round through the arm in Fallujah, 2007, before coming back and finishing up here at UNLV. And I wanted to be a school teacher. In 2010, we really couldn't, I couldn't get into the career field because of the budget cuts. So I decided to apply to graduate schools and got into a couple good programs. I got a master's degree from the University of Pennsylvania in global studies. And I also got a second master's degree from Yale University, where I studied comparative religion and politics. And my real interest in, while I was in grad school was the role that religion plays in the globalization process, in diplomacy, understanding global affairs through the lens of a religion. And, you look at so many of our issues today, the global war on terrorism, Sudan, Israel, Palestine, there's always some sort of religious aspect there, and I wanted to understand those a little bit better. So after graduating from Yale, I got some good opportunities, great offers actually. I mean, they come to you, at those recruiting fairs, at places like Yale and Harvard, in the Ivy League. But my real motivation has always been to serve in the Clark County School District and to work here in Las Vegas in Southern Nevada. So I applied to the school district, and all my friends, even my family, tell me, "You're crazy. What are you doing? You have these other great opportunities, out in the East Coast, in California, overseas, but you want to come back and teach here?" I said, "Yeah, because that was my calling. That's really what I felt was the right thing to do, and it's always been a passion of mine to work in public school settings. And I have my dream job. I say that teaching high school is the best dang career in America. I love what I do, and the greatest thing about what I do is the fact that I get to teach at my high school, the high school that I graduated from, Rancho High School, and I've been there ever since."
That's wonderful. So that's a perfect way to transition. How do you feel about higher education? What is your stance?
Oh, I'm a supporter for the free college program. And yes, this is something that the Bernie Sanders campaign talked about extensively during the last presidential election, the 2016 election. And I'm glad that he did. If you look at most of the developed economies around the world, they have an opportunity for folks, citizens, residents, people who live in that country, to actually attend college for free or make it very affordable. Again, this is because of the changing economy. You look at the global economy, it's changing one from an industrial-based economy to one that's really focused on information, technology, so on and so forth. So just having a high school diploma isn't cutting it anymore. So your entryway into the global economy now is a college degree, some sort of four-year degree program or a certification that makes you a more expert in technology or gives you more experience in those sectors. So that's why I'm a big proponent of the free college program, and I think that that's the direction that we should orient ourselves when it comes to higher education here in this country.
That is very interesting. I like that. It's very progressive. We could really use some of that. So my next question for you has to do with immigration, and particularly your stance on immigration and DACA.
Well, I'm an immigrant myself. And I was an individual who was in this country without documents for many years. So this is an issue that's very near and dear to my heart. It's an issue that I feel very intimately about. And I teach at a high school that has a significant amount of DACA recipients. So I am a strong supporter of the DACA program. I am also a strong supporter of the DREAM Act, which we need to pass here soon. It's overdue, to be honest with you. But more importantly, the overarching goal here has always been a comprehensive immigration reform legislation packet with a pathway to citizenship. The pathway to citizenship is absolutely crucial. There's a lot of talk about putting together a immigration plan that doesn't have a citizenship component, but the citizenship is essential because this is how you now invest these 11 to 13 million folks who are out there without documents into the social fabrics of this country. And it would be just a immoral thing, I believe, to have that many people now who will never be able to get their citizenship and will never be able to become 100% Americans. It'll create literally a second-class citizenry in this country, and that is something that we have to avoid. So when it comes to immigration, I'm a strong proponent of immigration reform with a pathway to citizenship.
That's, yes. Here, you know that at UNLV we are a highly diverse campus. So there are a lot of students here who are undocumented, and who have been affected by DACA and the DREAM Act. So thank you. And what are your thoughts on gun control? Quickly.
Yeah, it's we have our country is one of the most armed countries in the world. There's a strong heritage here, a strong legacy of gun ownership. It's become a symbol of freedom, in this nation. And we do have the Second Amendment that protects the right of citizens to bear arms. But on the same token, I think there needs to be some kind of common sense approaches to this. I'm a supporter of federal background checks on arms purchases, of weapons purchases, whether they're rifles, whether they're pistols, so on and so forth. And again, this is a way of mitigating and catching some folks who shouldn't be having weapons in their control. So that's one step forward. But again, in the end, it's a very complex issue. There's a lot of powerful special interests out there who don't even want to see something as minimal as a background check on a weapons purchase. So it's going to be a fight that I think needs to be had. And again, here in Las Vegas, I mean, we just had one of the most tragic events that has ever taken place in our country happen here in our hometown. So it's incumbent upon ourselves, I think, those of us who are from this city, who love this city, to give this a solid look and to really fight for some sort of common sense approach to keeping weapons out of the hands of people who shouldn't have them, but on the same token protecting that enshrined constitutional right of the right to bear arms.
Thank you. On that note, that's all the time we have. Once again, I would like to thank Reuben De Silva for coming in today, and we'll be right back with more Studio G.
This is a 30-minute show that airs every Tuesday evening at 91.5. You're going to hear Dr. Gary Larson along with our regular contributors talking about what matters to our community. And not only what matters, but why does it matter? We look at our community as a whole, but we also pay special attention to what's happening here at UNLV because that's our home as well. So looking at our metropolis through the lens of a radio show really gives us the unique perspective to tell a story through words and through people, and I think it makes for a great program.
Welcome back to Studio G.
Let's take a look at some more of today's top news stories.
Over the weekend, thousands of Dominicans took to the streets to protest government corruption and institutional injustice. It's what's now being called the Green Day protest. While the demonstrators had many different reasons for gathering, so some of their main concerns were finding justice for the death of innocent Dominican lawyer named Yuniel Ramirez, the stealing of public resources by government agencies, and the murder of anyone who intervenes with the government's power.
Talk show host Wendy Williams gave quite the scare yesterday. Williams was introducing a story when she started to slur her speech and shake before she passed out. Crew members rushed to help her. Williams said she overheated from her Statue of Liberty Halloween costume. Her publicist says she's feeling much better. Williams will be addressing the incident on her show today. That's all the time we have for today.
But before we go, we should take a look at the live. Take a live look outside the Alumni Amphitheater. Tomorrow, please join us for our live coverage of the 1 October Remembrance Ceremony at the Alumni Amphitheater, located just outside the Student Union and FDH building.
All students are welcome to attend, and we hope to see you there. Have a great day, Rebels.